Lower one for today is April the 19th, Monday. I will give a speech titled Healing the Trauma, because I know the year of 2020 we experienced many trauma on racial violence. Now it's 10:29 a.m. I will be silenced in memorial for all black folks and people of color who were murdered by police brutality from 10:29 a.m. to 10:30. Not 10:30 a.m. So the year of 2020, many of you have already known. The year of 2020 is traumatic. You will never want to hear it again, right? For now is the time. We need to heal the trauma we experienced in last year. The year of 2020 will be the year people will never forget. People will never forget the year of 2020 because we experienced many unnecessary pain that we should. At first, I stand for Black Lives Matter. Many black people, they're innocent, or they're committing only minor infraction, but they got murdered. You will wonder why. The reason because they're not evil, they're not bad person because some white police, they just based on their intuition, they just think all that black folks should be killed, but that is totally incorrect. I stand for Black Lives Matter. Every black folks, every people of color should deserve equality and should not experience any racial violence. I do not believe any law enforcement should make any decision based on race and ethnicity. I do not think this is legal. But now, this country, their law enforcement, they practice this. I acknowledge that. And how do you think when you have a friend of people of color, and just because of a minor infraction, and he got killed, how did you feel? Right? You might feel you're very irritated. It is injustice. Yes, it is unfair, utterly unfair. And what we can say it, we need to stop it. It's the time to stop it. We need to end this time that cause people feeling traumatized, feeling irritated, feeling unfairly treated. But now who cares, right? Back to how African American, their journey to fight for being U.S. residents, it is eventful. They came here as late 1840s, and they become labor. And which means they work for white people in this country, and when it gets naturalized, it is still questionable. And now, after a long fight, they finally get a chance to partially naturalize. But do they eventually achieve racial equality? No, they did not. I think from the root, we need to think, what do it mean to be a police officer? To protect people, right? But do you really protect? Ask yourself before you act. Someone just base your intuition and just say, This folk might be black people, might be a black person, might be a Latinx, and might be an Asian, which they may not obey the rule. Stop using intuition to make any judgment, because this will be very devastating. Now, for last, I want to say I stand for Black Lives Matter. African American people make great achievement over the years, and we can't ignore it. They made the athletic field of this country prominent. We have to admit. Why to oppress, to reject an ethnic group who made contributions to your country? You should be thankful and be tolerant to all the racial groups that makes this country better and better. Then I stand for a stop Asian hate. Asian America may be another minority group in this country, which we only have 5% of the population. But did this group ever be respected? It is still questionable. Asian American is an ethnic group that made lots of academic achievement. And why do we ignore it? We should be acknowledge that if Asian people does not exist, we would have a lot more less prominent scientists or any talented people to make this country to make this country better again. After the COVID-19 outbreak, many Chinese community have experienced hate crime and the xenophobia. Many people wearing masks because their culture is when a pandemic outbreak starts, wearing a mask is the way to protect. That do not mean any you're sick. It is just a culture thing. Every country have their own culture. The U.S. have their own culture too. So if you want to be diverse, you have to respect your culture. If every foreigners come to this country, you must be fully Americanized. Then where is the cultural diversity? Where is it? How did you find it? How do you make it diverse? Here's a questionable thing. Asian people is one of the groups that may be oppressed the most. You may not realize they have to work hard. They try hard to fit the American culture. They did everything possible. But who cares? Who cares? Asian people care. I care. I know who else care. And back to it. The virus, it is the virus, cannot be linked with a country. The COVID-19, the coronavirus disease, is not a Chinese virus. People decide to act what they feel comfortable do because they have their own culture. They practice their own culture because they are attached to this ethnic group with their own cultural values. Why they have to abandon it? Why? Now we rethink diversity. What does diversity mean? It's like diversity doesn't mean like, okay, here's a school. We come from 48 different US states. But that is not diverse at all. This is diverse inside the US, but you have to have multiple ethnic groups and races in this school. And they're proportionally balanced. And I think African American, Asian American are the two of the groups that endure the most pain of last year. They experienced like the police brutality. They experienced Asian hate crime, and they experienced many things. They experienced like exclusion act. They experienced labor act. Many things that refrain from consolidated as a U.S. as American. Last, I want to talk. What do you mean? What do you mean racial diversity? What do you mean diverse? Diverse means you had multiple elements in the one thing, but diverse to diversify, not isolate. If you think you're just going to include this group, that group here, but you just abandon them and treat them as don't exist, this is not what means diversity. Healing the trauma, we have to remember the racism does exist, and some can be hidden, but you must realize it it does exist, and you must acknowledge, take some action. Now the U.S. have been known for bad for their racial violence. If you want your country have a good reputation, then police do not act like a racist. Because many foreigners come to this country for their dream for the future, because they're excited for this country, their curiosity. But your ignorance, your arrogance, just ruin their passion, ruin their expectations, and is implicitly you turn them away in, in an uncompromising way. Do you think your act will make them feel comfortable? For me, I don't think so. Good. A, a person from another cultural background should preserve their culture, because every culture makes this country unique and diverse. If a person have abandoned their culture to fully become Americanized, this does not translate into racial diversity. We are not making this country diverse, because only only American culture can be accepted. And lastly, talk about white privilege. Being a white person does not mean you can do everything, but you have the privileges, but you cannot be racist, right? Healing the trauma need everyone's work, not me and you. I need everyone who experience racial violence. We stand together. We are going to fight for it, because it's a time to heal, and it's a time to fight. If you don't fight it, and they will not know what is going on, let them know you hear their voice. We need the voice get stronger, and they will feel we need racial justice. We need equality. We need everything. We need end this violence. We need end everything that is evil. Okay, Black Lives Matters. Salvation hate. Here's my speech till the end. I hope everyone, every people of color, have a better life in the in the country, in everywhere of the United States.